So can Tom Cruise achieve the impossible by giving us another great sequel in this fantastic franchise? We'll find out with my review of Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. Following the official disbandment of the IMF by the US government, Ethan Hunt is forced to go far underground to expose and shut down a network of highly skilled special agents, known as the Syndicate. These lethally trained operatives are hell-bent on creating a new world order through an escalating series of terrorist attacks. Ethan crosses paths with the mysterious Ilsa Faust, who may or may not be a member of this rogue nation, as he is drawn deeper into this complex web of espionage. Ultimately, Hunt must reform his resourceful team in order to face down an enemy that's as cunning, as skilled as they are, and what may prove to be their most impossible mission yet. So the Mission Impossible franchise is a very interesting one in that practically every single film improves upon the last, more or less. Mission Impossible 2 has its faults and problems, but each one's been interesting and different and adds something more of a flavor to the whole franchise, so there's always something fresh, something new being injected with every single film, and I've enjoyed every single one of them to varying degrees, with Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol being the best I had seen up to this point. And going into this film, I was really excited. I was like, they moved it from a December to a July release, that Paramount was very excited about the franchise. They were so confident to bring it up into a summer movie season, to do combat with all the other blockbusters that are coming out, and various other things that just, like, all the promotion was great. Everything going into this film was a very exciting experience, and I was very hopeful for the film, and ultimately I did enjoy the film, but it's a bit of a different type of film. Again, there's a different flavor, different style going on here with Christopher McQuarrie co-writing and directing this film, who had previously done Jack Reacher with Tom Cruise, which I thought was a pretty good thriller. It wasn't a film that I ever really had too much of an interest in going back and seeing it, but I did appreciate that. It was a little bit more old school in certain ways, and I did think it was an alright film. And going into this, I was like, him going into a Mission Impossible film, bringing something a little bit into it that'd be a bit more edgier, a little bit more gritty or whatnot. I was very interested in it, and he does bring that type of style into Rogue Nation. Overall in this film, that it does have, because you had MI3 with J.J. Abrams and had Ghost Protocol, which are very kinetic type of action films, a lot of stuff going on, very fast-paced type of action, fast-paced story, things are going on a real good clip and everything. There's a lot of energy in those films. Rogue Nation's a bit more of a slower burn espionage thriller, that there is some fantastic action sequences, but everything in between the action sequences is a little bit more slowed down. The pace kind of goes along a little bit more methodically, a little bit more slower, just taking a little bit more of a gradual pace. So it's a bit of a different shift in your expectations going into this film if you're looking for something that is as slick or as intense, whatnot, as like Ghost Protocol was, which was a very sleek film. I think Brad Bird did an exceptional, amazing job directing that film. This one definitely goes, it's not quite as vibrant, it's not quite as slick, it's a little bit more edgy, a little bit more gritty, but that's not to say it's a bad film in any type of way. It's just a different style of film. Kind of goes a little bit more back towards Brian De Palma's first film in the franchise, which was much more suspenseful, a little bit more of a thriller and everything, getting you a little bit more on the edge of your seat with the tone and the suspense and all that kind of stuff going on. A little bit more of a, again, you got a bit of a thing in this film that is a lot more of a distrustful type of thing. You're not really sure who to trust at certain points in this thing, that you kind of look around for one person next, and you're not entirely certain who's going to be involved with this syndicate, who might actually kind of do a flip, a 180 or whatnot. You're not quite sure about certain people in this thing, because they're brand new characters, so it's like you have to measure them up and size them up and try and figure out exactly who might be working what angle in this film. But it's makes it very interesting. That I think of all the Mission Impossible films, this is probably the one with the most fleshed out and well-developed plot of the whole thing, because there's a lot of mystery involved. There's a lot of twists and turns in a certain way, that there's just the mystery element of this whole thing, where you've got all these people with odd allegiances. You don't know exactly who they're aligned with, what their agenda is, and there's this nice complex web of deceit and everything going on in this thing that I thought really just kept me engaged in the film. It kept me just thinking all the way through. Is like, where's this thing going to go? Someone helps someone, then they turn their back on them. So it's like this constant thing is like you jumping from one thing to the next. So it kept it very interesting without getting overly complex or whatnot. It keeps it fairly streamlined, but doesn't keep the pace going as fast as you probably liked from some of the previous Mission Impossible films. But talk about something like Tom Cruise, who I absolutely love. Tom Cruise, I love him like hell. Collateral and Top Gun and Risky Business and all other types of films. I think the guy just one of the hardest working, guy is just pushes himself absolutely to the limit with everything he does. And I just love that he just commits himself fully to this kind of franchise, doing so much physicality and just imploring to do a lot of physical stunts and physical effects and everything. Absolutely love it, and you can really see that in this film. That it's amazing that Tom Cruise is a guy who is past 50 years old, and he looks like he's about 35 years old. But the guy just keeps himself in fantastic shape and delivers a very good performance in this film as Ethan Hunt. Just again, just keeping things on the edge of your seat, keeping things very interesting about certain moments in the film. Don't know which way things are going to go with the character. That he's getting very much deep into the might seem obsessive about what's going on, trying to break the syndicate when the IMF has been dissolved and everything and disavowed, and everything's kind of going into a chaos or whatnot. There's no real backup, sort of like in Ghost Protocol, but it's even pushed to an even further degree beyond that. So Tom Cruise's performance is really good in this film. I just like the entire team dynamic that they continue on from Ghost Protocol with Jeremy Renner and Simon Pegg, and bringing the character of Luther Stickle in here with Ving Rhames into the whole thing. So it's like they keep a really excellent chemistry with all these characters, and I just kind of like when Ving Rhames first shows up and he has a little bit of distrust for the character of Brad because he hasn't worked with him before. So they keep these little threads going that have been kind of permeating throughout the whole franchise of exactly who to trust at certain points in time. That if you don't know someone that well, you can't go that far, but it's like that connecting thread of Ethan Hunt is what brings everyone together and continues pushing all the plot elements forward for the IMF team, which is fantastic. Everyone does a great job in this film. I think Rebecca Ferguson was absolutely fantastic in this thing. I just like, she's an incredibly attractive lady, but she just brings such a great badass quality to this character of Ilsa that this one, again, this character that's caught up in the web of deceit and everything. You don't know exactly where her allegiances are. Well, throughout the whole film's like, she'll help out Ethan Hunt, but then she'll do something that's completely mysterious, and you don't know exactly where her character is going throughout this whole film. But she does a fantastic performance in this film that just like, again, she is very physical in the film, bringing forth as much badassery as anyone else in this film, and she does just a fantastic job. I was just very engaged by her character and her acting performance in this film. And Mission Impossible films have kind of struggled a little bit trying to really kind of capture a fantastic villain besides Philip Seymour Hoffman's turn in Mission Impossible 3, which is one of my favorite villains that I've probably seen the last 10 years in action films. He was fantastic, but the rest of the films have been kind of wobbly. They really haven't focused that much on creating a very strong, memorable villain, and Sean Harris's performance in this film as the leader of the syndicate kind of left me a little flat. That he's not very charismatic. There's not a whole lot to the character that's going to make him memorable, and it just like a little bit, because he's doing this sort of low, raspy type of voice, which makes some of the dialogue a tad bit difficult to understand at certain points in time. But I think if you got someone like Philip Seymour Hoffman, where in that film the plot of Mission Impossible 3 is very, very thin. There's not a whole lot of plot in the film. It's a lot of MacGuffin type of stuff, plot devices, but not a whole lot of story going on. But his character of Owen Davian, because Hoffman was such an amazing actor, he brought so much more weight and gravity and intensity to that character beyond what was on the page. Sean Harris really doesn't do anything. He's not very memorable, not very charismatic. There's no real sense of menace with the character to make him seem like a major threat to anyone. I could really like to see someone just like go in there and just be very heavyweight and very menacing. Doesn't have to be like overly charismatic, but if you get someone who just like feels very lethal or whatnot, that would add so much more to this franchise. You just had some amazing films to just remember like hell. But regardless of that, I thought a lot of the stuff in this film really worked very well. I thought some of the cinematography was exceptional in the action sequences, because the action sequences executed by Christopher McQuarrie are just absolutely fantastic. That there is such a sort of edgy and almost sleek quality to him in a certain way. Like the motorcycle chase in this film was just absolutely intense. That just get you right on the edge of everything, like a razor wire. Like, man, that thing just went along at such a fantastic pace with such dynamic, fast-paced, and kinetic type of camera work that still maintained a sort of smooth sense of flow and everything, just very intense. I just really liked how that looked. And a lot of the other sequences were very, very tense, very suspenseful too. I thought just everything was executed with the action sequences very, very, very well. Outside of some of the action sequences, some of the cinematography was a little bit more darker, a little bit more grittier, it's a little bit more, adding a little bit more, maybe a bit more of a noir type of feel in a certain way, but not a whole lot of pop or whatnot with the visuals like you had with Ghost Protocol, which was a much more sleeker film. That I do like that in general, but this, if you like something that is a very kind of a slow burn espionage thriller, something a little bit more 70s or whatnot, a little bit more of a modern action, adrenaline punch whatnot, that would definitely be the best way to describe this film in my view. That, again, story is very well flashed out with a lot of interweaving type of plot threads, whatnot, that still pay off very well at the end, but it just goes on a very different style than what you've seen in like MI3 or MI4, that it goes much more lower key in a certain way, but still keeps a very big action punch to it. So it's a bit of a different type of a balancing act in that type way, that the action sequences are very exceptional and spectacular, but everything outside that goes a little bit more down and dirty, goes a little bit more low-key type of thriller type of way. So it wasn't a film that I think I'm going to like more than Ghost Protocol. That, again, Ghost Protocol just is the epitome of a great action film in my type of way, that everything is just so intense, so well done, so sleek, and just so memorable in so many ways. I just watched the film about a week and a half ago, and that still is a very damn good movie. And I think Rogue Nation is a good film. If you really want the action, adrenaline type of very fast-paced type of movie and everything, Ghost Protocol is definitely the way to go, but Rogue Nation just has the most fleshed out story, the most thriller aspects to it, that it really is kind of building up a suspense, a little bit of tension, just taking its time to weave the story through, and just using the action sequences to punctuate everything that's going on in the story. So it's a very different type of expectation, because obviously all the trailers hit you with a lot of fast-paced cuts, a lot of action, a lot of stuff like that. But it still does have a lot of the humor that you saw in Ghost Protocol. But I think it's a very good film, that if you're definitely going in thinking that it's going to be a little bit slower paced, kind of gradual in certain points, that it might drag at certain sections of the film, but the performances are excellent. The action sequences are fantastic. I think everything they did with this film really was really on a high level, so I would definitely recommend seeing it. I don't think it, again, because it's a different type of film, I like the kind of high adrenaline type of stuff. I kind of like the last two films a little bit more, but if you're in the mood for it, something a little bit more old school type of thriller, this is definitely going to get you right in the mood. So I definitely suggest it. Definitely, absolutely, positively. Go see Rogue Nation. It is definitely worth your time. I think there's a lot of good things in it, and I go around trying to think of other things that I might want to comment on, but I think overall it just had the right mix of mystery and suspense and plot elements. It didn't bog it down too much, but it kept going on a good pace, more or less. But definitely recommend it. I think it's a very damn good movie. I wasn't completely blown away by it because I was kind of expecting something a little more fast-paced, but overall, I think it's still a damn good movie. That is definitely worth your while. I think Paramount did the right thing, moving it up to the summer to get it right at this point in time where things are kind of sagging down in the summer, to get something that really kind of hits you at the right moment in time, right here at the cusp at the last third of the summer, and just kind of brings something that has a lot of spectacular, edgy action, a lot of good stuff going on. So Mission Impossible Rogue Nation definitely gets a very strong recommendation from me. If you have seen Rogue Nation, I'd definitely like to hear what you guys think about how it compares to the other 4 films in the franchise, and basically what your favorite of the franchise is at this point in time. So if you enjoyed the review, I definitely appreciate your thumbs up here down below. I appreciate all your comments and you guys sharing some of the links around to get more people involved and in the discussion in the comments, and just get everyone more interested in the reviews I'm producing here on this channel. And that's basically all I got for you guys. I've definitely enjoyed it. Probably on a second viewing, when I get it on Blu-ray, I'll probably might get more soaked into it and I have a higher opinion. So when we get to the end of the year, I'm figuring out what the best movies of the year is. I'll definitely revisit this film absolutely positively. It's definitely worthwhile. I'll definitely purchase it on Blu-ray and give it another watch and give it a much stronger overall second impression. So regardless of that, go check it out. If you have, post your comments below. And thanks for watching, guys. Be back in due time with a few more reviews. And until then, take care. Bye-bye.